Another strategy that TLC tried to use in this situation was reducing offense. So they partnered with sexual abuse advocacy groups. They aired documentaries that featured the victims of the molestation. Um, they did all of this as an effort to bolster their own image, to make people feel better about the network, to improve their public standing. They often invoked a kind of distance differentiation approach. This happened before we knew the Duggars. This didn't happen while we were filming the show. There's no way we could have possibly known about this. So kind of distancing themselves from the offense. It also brought more attention to the person who had committed the offense and the victims of the offense, so that was problematic as well, in an effort to sort of minimize their own role in this, and to feature the victims also brought more attention to everyone. They aired this documentary. People were quite critical, saying that, like any television show, its focus was on making money. It was an attempt to raise ratings for TLC. And it really emphasized TLC's failure to acknowledge the severity of the scandal. Many of the advertisers on the show didn't stay. So when you are a television show that creates controversy, one of the first responses to that is often you lose advertisers. So these three advertisers are mentioned in the article. I'm sure there were others as well. That's since television is a money-making operation. When you lose advertisers, that's often the first sign that there's a problem, and will frequently get networks' attention. They created this new series that I mentioned called Counting On that featured the older children. Many critics were disappointed that this was part of the response to create yet another show that was featuring this family and possibly exploiting them. So it wasn't received very well, though it persisted for more than one season. Uh, in terms of their social media strategy, TLC didn't use social media particularly well. They were hammered on Twitter by users who felt this situation was TLC's fault. They didn't do much to protect their image on social media. They could have been more active. They could have tweeted more information about their response or the developing situation. They could have replied to users. Different organizations have, various policies on how to respond to users when they post negative things on social media, and TLC could have been more responsive, but ultimately was not. So for this piece, I would say TLC relied on 4 image repair tactics, none of which were particularly effective. So they had delayed and minimal responses. They tried to reduce the offensiveness. They minimized the severity of the situation, and they used social media poorly. All 4 of these strategies led to a negative view of TLC based on these efforts. What TLC could have done was they could have canceled the show right away. They could have made some sort of statement. They could have partnered with groups right after the scandal broke. Part of the issue in this situation was their slow response, their kind of gradual response, which stands in stark contrast to what TLC did with Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. They needed to use social media more effectively. In this day and age, social media is a tool to connect with your audiences. It's a way to get your message out quickly, and TLC did not do that very well. Ultimately, successful image repair involves timely responses, exhibiting compassion, and a clear social media strategy. I mean, this was sort of textbook how not to do it in the sort of modern digital social media world. So I think this study is interesting and will likely be something that's reproduced when future shows encounter other kinds of scandals.